Hello there, boys and girls and children of all ages. Jim here once again, and we're going to be taking a look at the newest model by Pohan Leu called the Negligence. This is fresh. It is brand new. If it was a donut, it would still be sticky to the touch. That's how fresh this is. It's sticky and moist. This is an exciting knife for me to review. I'm really glad to get the chance to do this and to have this knife in my collection. I really love it. Now, I think one of the coolest things about this knife is the fact that Poe did not really stray very far away from the formula that has made him so incredibly popular. If you go back about, I want to say a little over 3 years on my channel, or you could just use the search feature on my channel, it would be a lot easier. You will see the first review I did on a Pohan Leu knife. It was called the Bluefin. Now, most of you that have been collecting for a while know about the Bluefin, but at that time, a lot of people didn't know about it, and you saw it in pictures, and you saw that Scandi grind, and it was so uncommon to see in the world of tactical style flippers that it looked odd, and I really wasn't sure about it. And I was lucky to do a guest blade on it. I did not buy the knife. It was loaned to me for guest blade, because I was really curious about it, and I liked it, but I wasn't sure if I loved it, and I wanted to buy one for myself, and I was very fortunate to get the chance to play with it without having to buy one. And I immediately, from the time I first flipped it open, fell in absolute lust with that knife. Funny enough, out of the other knives I have from him, I still don't own a Bluefin, go figure. That was the knife that really did it for me, and I had the chance to sit down and do the review and share it with a lot of people that had not been exposed to that style of knife and his style of knife making. And I was so glad that I did, because he has continued to come up with new models that I just love. This is by far his most ergonomic model. So you go from the Bluefin, which was a fairly straightforward slab-sided titanium frame lock. Then you went to the Hamachi. This is actually the very first Hamachi that was ever built, and still very straight, but somehow he makes that work, and he makes it feel really nice. Now, I've had this for, oh geez, 2.5 years. Still one of the knives that I reach for all the time and truly love. Yeah, it's a big knife, but I still really love it. And one of the things that I enjoy about Poe's knives are his Scandi grinds. The fact that he does a zero grind that is absolutely, and the term is often overused, maybe even by myself, it is absolutely, truly a razor sharp knife. As a matter of fact, the only knives I have ever owned that were as sharp out of the box and remained as sharp as they did for as long as they did were my Rockstead knives. And I think that speaks volumes for the work that Poe does. Now, as I mentioned, this is by far his most ergonomic model. What you've got is a very pronounced choil here leading up into the flipper tab. And then all of this is drawn in. Instead of being flat and straight like he normally does it, it's drawn in nicely for your fingers. So this is a little bit narrower, so it really just falls right into the hand. And then almost like a fighter style knife, he has brought the tail of it around to the back side of the pinky. So you've got a good amount of leverage on this thing. It's a nice full-size grip, full-sized handle. As always, very thick titanium, thick backspacer because he uses very thick blade stock, and very thick scale on here as well. Now let's talk about the size of the knife, then we'll talk about how he made it. First off, this is 8 3/4 inches overall length. It looks larger than it really is. It's kind of funny. I think it's because it's so fat. And you've got, if you measure from the tip to the end of the bolster, it's a 3.5 inch blade. And that is, by the way, the actual cutting length that you get is 3.5 inches. However, if you measure to back here or to the pivot, obviously it's bigger. It's about 3 3/4 inches if you go to back here, right where it starts to taper up into the flipper tab. If you go back here, it's almost 3 3/4, I'm sorry, just under 4 inches to the pivot. So I'm not exactly sure how he's measuring it. So if I tell you it's a 3.5-inch blade, it's from here to here, and he may be calling it something different. I apologize because I just don't know. The model is too new. I don't even know if any dealers have them listed on their websites right now. I know a couple dealers bought them when it was released at the New York Custom Knife Show. I just don't know how they listed it. He tends to favor S35 VN steel, which is fantastic steel. I do believe that is what's being used here as well. Now, what Poe does that's really amazing is everything that you see here is done by hand. He does not farm out for CNC, water jet, wire EDM, nothing. And there would be nothing wrong with that if he did. However, everything he does is in his shop with honestly fairly basic tools. He's cutting everything with a bandsaw, and then he is contouring everything on the grinder. So this is all done in the purest form of knife making that you can get in a stock removal knife, meaning he doesn't forge his own steel. So, you know, I don't want somebody going, well, that's not really pure if he's not a blacksmith. Oh! It's as pure as it can get for being a stock removal knife maker, which these days the vast majority of custom knife makers in folding knives are going to be stock removal. Fantastic job all the way around. His fit and finish is always great for a good solid working knife. He doesn't overly do it. You've got a nice belt satin on the blade, so it's, shit, you little, don't do what I just did, trying to look through a teeny tiny viewfinder. You don't really know where your finger is all the time. Honestly, I don't know where my fingers are half the time anyway when the camera's off, let alone when the camera's on. So yeah, that could have been very, very bad. So what he's doing is, again, belt finish on there. It doesn't keep you from using your knife. You're not afraid because you're not afraid of marring up an overly beautiful finish, yet it still looks fantastic. As I mentioned, it is a zero grind Scandi. I believe it's a 24-degree bevel. If I'm not correct on that, I'll talk to Poe, and I will then correct myself in the description down below. But I believe he uses a 24-degree angle on there. They are unbelievably, ridiculously sharp. Believe that. My Hamachi has actually seen quite a bit of cardboard cutting, and it's absolutely no worse for wear. I'm sure there's, no, you know what, there's not really, I mean, there's a couple little marks, but the finish really hides the use very, very well. Again, I don't really hammer on and beat on my knives all that much, but they get used, and this has broken down many cardboard boxes, and cardboard is not easy on your steel. Then we get to the bolster here, which is a Mokutai bolster. Beautiful, dressy, very, very cool, but still doesn't take away from the business-like look of this overall knife. Then you have silver wire lightning strike carbon fiber that's been impregnated. I love that word, don't you? Don't you just want to walk around and say impregnated loudly? If you've never done it, do it. Go, you know what, it's just a few days before Christmas, you still got time. Go down to the mall, go into like Macy's or some very crowded store and just yell, impregnated, and watch the hysterical reactions. People will just be laughing along with you. Anyway, went way off on a tangent there. The lightning strike carbon fiber done with silver wire is impregnated with blue resin. So you get these flashes of blue that come through in random areas. And it's a good look. Then he's added to that the blue anodized titanium hardware. I gotta tell you, I really, really love the butt end on this knife, because now you've got, let's see if we can get it to focus. Hello, focus. There we go. You've got the same silver wire lightning strike carbon fiber with the blue resin as the back spacer. And it creates this delicious looking sandwich of 6AL4V titanium, matte bead blasted, to that beautiful blue, silver, and black look. It looks really, really cool. I dig looking at it from behind. Very slick, very cool. I like the fact that he uses basically a 1/3 back spacer and then brings it all the way around right to the very edge and leaves all this open. Very cool. Now he does not, by the way, he does not mill pockets into the insides of his frames, so all of his knives are very weighty. You are carrying a man's knife. You really need to be at least somewhat manly. I mean, if you've got if you're wearing you're rocking the bun on the top of your head, and you spend an hour trimming your beard to a certain shape, and you wear skinny jeans, this is not the knife for you. However, I would absolutely pay to see Poe dressed in exactly that manner at the Blade Show. I think that'd be fantastic. But it really is a manly knife. It's thick. It's very, very beefy, very, very heavy. The pocket clip alone, this beautifully sculpted titanium pocket clip, weighs as much as some small gentleman's pocket knives. It is big, it is thick, it is heavy. But it is absolutely fantastic. Good news for those of you that are fans of Poe's work but have not yet bought one, because maybe you've been to a show, handled one of his knives, and went, and couldn't get it open. Poe is legendary for making a finger-breaking detent. As a matter of fact, my hamachi, when I first got it, it was tough. Now, it's broken in nicely. Now, generally, there's a trick to Poe's knives. What you have to do is, when you hold it, make sure you have no fingers, no pressure on the lock bar, and you're not pulling straight back. You're kind of coming at it at this angle so you get additional leverage, and then you can pop it right open. See there, I've given you the secret. But you don't need the secret anymore, because he has very slightly massaged that detent. It's still a strong detent. However, it's massaged just a little bit where you don't feel like you have to be Hercules to flip it open. This was brand new right off his bench. He had finished this maybe 48 hours before I picked it up from him at the New York Custom Knife Show, and it has required no break-in whatsoever. It flips just as well and fast as his other knives, but it doesn't feel like it's going to kill you. Another change that he has made, and this goes back even to the hamachi, one of the critiques I gave him on the bluefin video was that his flipper tabs were just too sharp, and you add that to how hard the detent was, it tore up your finger. Now it's ever so slightly rounded off. You almost don't even see it. It still looks like a sharp corner, but it's not. It is nicely rounded off. He does design his knives where the tang of the blade does come up all the way to the frame, and it's perfectly contoured with the shape of the frame. Another one of those design aspects that I respect, that I really, really like. Overall, the flow of this knife is fantastic. Great shape. It still fills the hand, but it's so much more ergonomic. I think a lot of people that have looked at Poe's knives and went, man, I love his blades. I know that they're sharp as a laser, but I just don't want to carry something that's so straightforward and no sexy curves or whatnot. He has made something for you, and you're going to become an instant fan. Another thing that you should know about Poe, not only does he do everything the old-fashioned way by hand, but he also does his own heat treating. That's also very, very important, to have someone that is that proficient with the steel, with the knives that he's making, to create his own degree of consistency. Nice little swedge there, added little touch. And something else, let's see, what was I going to mention? I was going off on another tangent there. Oh, geez, so he does his own heat treat, all that's done, everything's done by him, by hand, in-house, nobody else, nothing is farmed out. That's really pretty much it. The great thing is when you see him at a show, everything is first come, first serve, and every now and then he may have an exotic piece that he'll put up for auction. Maybe he'll make like a full mokutai scale or something and put that out there as an auction item. But generally, if you walk up to his table and there are 10 knives on his table, you have your choice of all of those 10 immediately. All you got to do is pay for it. You don't have to luck into it with a damn lottery. Now, this is also a guy that has a long wait list. So generally, when a knife maker gets to that level, you're only going to buy via lottery at the big shows. He has chosen not to do that. You are able to order from him. His books are open. As mentioned, there is a wait, but it's not insane. It's not like it's 4 or 5 years like some makers. It is a bit of a wait, but I'm telling you right now, it is so well worth that wait because you're not paying a tremendous amount of money. You can spend $700 with Poe and get a knife. You could spend 8, 9, and obviously on up. But a knife like this, anybody else making it to this degree of quality and his degree of fit and finish, which is very important to realize, this would be a good solid $1,500 from pretty much anybody. You're not going to pay anywhere near that. That's just the way Poe is. He says, there's no reason for me to overcharge just because so many other makers are. I'd just rather somebody get a few of my knives and enjoy them. And if, being $400, $500, $600 less than the competition for the same materials and same, category of knife allows them to have more than one, then, that's awesome. So you've got somebody that is really a true master at making a super sharp knife that has perfected his actions both with the detent and the smoothness. His lock bar tension is amazing. It's still strong, but it's not so strong that it hinders the action of the blade. It's not applying so much force that you have that much friction. So you have a very, very solid lockup. Let's take a look at that. This is one of his early lockups. This is my Hamachi. And as far as a folding knife, there are certain tasks that you don't use a folding knife for, so I don't even want to hear that shit. Oh, frame lock's not as strong as a fixed blade. No shit, really? Really? Is that true? Is that true, Captain Obvious? We know that, so stop. But as far as a frame lock folder goes, which are obviously very strong, you got some very thick pieces of titanium there, butting up to a very thick piece of steel, and a very solid engagement. You're making full contact there. It's not just small points. As always, everything is wonderfully chamfered for your comfort. You don't have a sharp edge there as you're engaging that lock, and that's a big mistake that a lot of makers still make. That you go to disengage that lock, and there's a hard edge right there. He's very, very conscious of how the customer is going to be handling his knives. And a knife that flips this good, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and you're going to flip it over and over and over just to feel it and just to hear it. Oh, that thunk when it opens. Let's put it by the microphone. Oh yeah, big solid thunk. So again, it's just as wonderfully balanced as you could imagine. I honestly believe that this is going to end up being his #1 model. If I'm not mistaken, the Hamachi may have surpassed the Bluefin in popularity. I could be wrong, but I do believe so. When he does his work in progress pictures on Instagram and shows what he's making, generally it's a very large lineup of Hamachis or the smaller Hamachi, and usually only a couple of Bluefins next to it. So I'm thinking that has been his most popular model. This is going to blow it out of the water. Now you've got something that it's a tiny bit easier to flip. It is a phenomenal feeling in the hand. I really wish more people could feel it, before they buy it. When I was walking around the New York Custom Knife Show, this was the knife that I was carrying, and a lot of people asked me, hey, what are you carrying, or what did you buy at the show this time around? And I would pull it out and put it in their hand. They're like, holy shit, really? Wow, that really feels good. And it's not that Poe's knives didn't feel good before, it's just that much better. And it's immediately noticeable to anybody that's ever picked one up. So if you get the chance and you see one of his dealers, like Empire Outfitters and Blade HQ, and there's a lot of great dealers, go to his website, leucustom.com, L-E-U, custom.com, and he has a available page. When you click that, it shows all the dealers. Empire is fantastic, by the way. It's just off the top of my head. Grab one. I promise you, for the small amount of money that you're spending, and the Hamachis, by the way, have gone up in value tremendously. These are generally flipped for $400 or $500 more than the maker's price. So keep that in mind. If you see a Hamachi, you're probably going to pay more than you would have a year or two ago. But for the small amount of money you're paying in a true, full, handmade, American-made, true handmade custom in pretty much any material that you can think of, you're spending very little money. I promise you, you're going to flip. When you put it in your hand, you're going to go, wow, for a big, thick, beefy knife, this feels fantastic. You're going to love it. And the first thing that you cut with this, and I encourage you, cut with it. Really, really put it to the test and cut with it. You're going to enjoy the hell out of it. Scandi grinds are awesome. And his Scandi grinds in particular, so ridiculously sharp. It glides through whatever you're cutting. And yeah, grab some cardboard, man, and just push cut. And it just glides right through. So there you have it, guys. That's my quick 20 minutes on the Pohan Leu Negligence. Put that there, put it next to my sexy hamachi, and I'm going to get out of here. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thank you as always for watching. Follow him, Pohan Leu, on Instagram. Follow me at Jim Skelton Knives on Instagram. And keep your eyes peeled because there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up on my channel that I've never really done before. Oh, what could it be? If you follow me on Instagram, you already know. Otherwise, you're in for a big surprise. I'll talk to you guys later.